It's really interesting to compare Bruce Elder's writing as a secondary source with the writing of Keith Windshuttle. Both men examine the Risdon Cove events of 1803. Both have very different interpretations. And this sets up a beautiful look at perspectives that we might be able to use in an ISI. So let's now take a look at Windshuttle's writing on Risdon Cove, okay, and build upon that a little further. Here's Keith Windshuttle's account from the website we were looking at earlier. Very different feel. Let's now think about this author. Who's Keith Windshuttle? What are his qualifications? Is his perspective reliable or useful? Why not? Are his views representative of other points of view? I think we're going to find, which is why I put it in here by the way, that he differs somewhat from the point of view of Bruce Elder. Has he an agenda? Is he positioning the audience in a certain way and how for a certain reason? Has he a particular message he's pushing? What is this agenda, this message? Why write his writing then? Now, he's not writing, if you pardon the typo on my screen here in 1988, he's writing in 2002. Quite some time after Bruce Elder. Why did it take so long? When we investigate Keith Windshuttle, he comes up fairly quickly also in a Google search. So explore this, push it further, and then think about the language choices someone like Windshuttle is using. What's he include? What does he leave out? Why does this occur? Analyze means asking these hard questions. Use the tools you've got. What's the nature of the writing? How is an audience being positioned? Where is our sympathy meant to go? Whose side are we meant to take? What techniques is Windshuttle using? Is he objective or subjective, emotive in his writing? How does that compare to Bruce Elder? Subjective, emotive, objective, fact and evidence-based? Or is it opinion-based? Is someone being persuasive here, argumentative, prosecutorial, like they're prosecuting a case in a crime? Certainly it's very adamant. Windshuttle says, this is not a slaughter. This isn't a massacre of innocent men and women. It's defensive by the colonists. Not invaders, by the way, is a word that gets thrown out at times. It was an incident which no one can be blamed for. You could almost suggest Keith Windshuttle's steering us into a it's just one of those things type spaces, very different from Bruce Elder. The troops had no intention beforehand to kill any of them. The commander in charge, who Bruce Elder described as bloodshot, bleary-eyed, covering up and so on. The commander in charge was concerned to justify his actions by the threat to his own people. He did not believe he could shoot Aborigines without good justification. Where did that N-word quote go from Bruce Elder? Hang on, that's very different. And he didn't have any reference to that, but I'm not sure what the reference is here for Windshuttle either. Where's he getting this idea that Moore didn't believe he could shoot Aborigines without good justification? Where do I sit on this? How do I come to some sort of judgment? I'm going to need more sources. No one took the event lightly. No one. No one. Hang on, where's my reference? No reference. Not sure what to do with that now, except more research. And no one urged the shooting of Aborigines was an acceptable thing to do. To call the incident a massacre is to beat it up beyond credibility. Okay. So we've certainly got something to analyse here. We've certainly got some evaluations to make. It's time to use Adamant and CabMop and RAP. There's features to analyse, there's perspectives to explore and evaluate. We do that in an ISI, so it's now time to have a little bit of a look into the examples of an ISI we get from the QCAA to think, what might that look like? And what it looks like is this, according to the QCAA. They've given us an example of analysis of a secondary source related to Chinese history. The green bit that they've highlighted here QCAA argues this is a detailed examination of the features of the evidence. So it's saying where it's come from, what the source actually is, who's writing it and why. In other words, this is the kind of space we use Adamant, CADMOP and RAP. Notice it's not one long piece of prose, it's dot pointed out but still in sentence form. Have a look at that example there and think, what could we write about Bruce Elder and his extract from Blood on the Wattle? What could we write about Keith Windshuttle's? And more importantly, what could you write about your own work? Maybe stop the video, pause it here, have that open on your screen and try it. Your source, what you're writing about. If you've got nothing to say, maybe it's not a great source. It then goes on. QCAA argues that this gold-brown sort of colour highlight they've got in their work on their website is an example of discerning judgments about usefulness and reliability. Oh, can't speak. Okay. Is it reliable for historians? Anyone else? Why not? How does it compare with other sources? What are the strengths and weaknesses in comparison to other sources? To what degree is it useful in exploring your historical question? In what ways, in context, is it useful? It's useful for perhaps making what sorts of judgments? Okay, what are the limitations on its usefulness? So these are the examples, these are the kind of questions we need to think about.